They thought it was just another night of flexing their badges, cuff the guy, crack a few jokes, and call it a day. But when they found out who they were messing with, the joke turned deadly serious. All right, so here's the deal. It was just another quiet night, or at least that's what I thought, until the universe decided to flip me the bird. My name's James Carter, 37, a federal judge, but honestly, I don't walk around advertising that. Life taught me early that sometimes it's better to keep your cards close to your chest, especially when your skin's a little too dark for some folks' liking. Anyway, I was walking back home from a late dinner, looking sharp, in my best navy blue suit, when things took a sharp nosedive into the absurd. The street was dead silent, just the way I like it after a long day. The city lights were dim, casting that eerie yellow glow that makes everything feel like it's part of some noir detective movie. I had my phone in hand, catching up on emails because, let's face it, work never really ends. And that's when I saw it. Those red and blue lights flashing like a bad omen in the rearview mirror of my life. A patrol car slowed down next to me, creeping along like it had all the time in the world. Now, I've seen this movie before, and let me tell you, it never ends well for the guy who looks like me. The car stopped and out stepped two cops, each one looking like they had something to prove. The first guy, older and grizzled, had that, "I've been doing this for decades, so don't test me" vibe. The other one? Fresh-faced but already cocky, like he thought he was the second coming of Clint Eastwood. "Hey, buddy," the younger one drawled, leaning against the car like he owned the damn sidewalk. "Kinda late to be out strolling in a suit, don't you think?" I kept my face neutral. Rule number 1, don't give them a reason. "Just heading home," I replied, keeping my tone even. "Is there a problem, officer?" The older one, let's call him Grumpy, stepped forward, squinting at me like I'd personally insulted his mother. "We'll decide if there's a problem. What are you doing around here anyway? This neighborhood doesn't exactly scream business meeting." I wanted to roll my eyes so badly, but I settled for a deep breath. I live a few blocks down, finished a dinner meeting and thought I'd walk off the steak. "Steak?" The younger one, let's go with Junior, snorted. "Must be nice. You sure you didn't just rob a bank or something?" And there it was. That thinly veiled accusation dressed up as a joke. My fists clenched at my sides, but I kept my voice steady. "Officers, I'm not looking for trouble, just trying to get home." Grumpy nodded toward my phone. "Let me see that." I raised an eyebrow. "Why?" "Because I said so." His tone dropped like a hammer, all smug authority. "Look, if I've done something wrong, feel free to tell me. Otherwise, I'd like to—" Before I could finish, Junior snatched the phone out of my hand. "Relax, boss. We're just making sure you're not texting your getaway driver." Seriously? I could feel my blood pressure climbing, but I knew better than to escalate. "That's a personal device," I said through gritted teeth. "And I'd like it back." Grumpy chuckled, low and mean. "Big words for a guy walking around here alone at night. You sure you don't have anything else on you? Drugs? Weapons? A bad attitude?" At that point, I was done playing nice. "You can search me if you want, but I'll warn you now, you won't find anything except maybe my patience wearing thin." Junior gave a mock whistle. "Oh, we've got ourselves a tough guy. Let's see how tough you are when we check that fancy suit of yours." Before I could say another word, they had me against the hood of their car, frisking me like I was a contestant in some twisted game show. Grumpy patted down my pockets, finding nothing, of course. Junior pulled at my jacket, tossing out a sarcastic, "What's this? A silk tie?" Ooh, somebody's doing well for themselves. "Are we done here?" I asked, my voice sharper now. But apparently we weren't. Because these two clowns decided that just humiliating me wasn't enough. No, they needed a show. "Tell you what," Junior said, pulling out a pair of handcuffs. "Why don't we take this conversation over there?" He nodded toward a street lamp. "You look like you could use a little time to reflect." And just like that, they slapped the cuffs on me and dragged me over to the lamppost. They laughed as they clicked the cuffs around the cold metal pole, leaving me standing there like some kind of public spectacle. "Enjoy the view, boss," Grumpy sneered. "We'll be back in a bit, maybe." They walked back to their car, their laughter echoing in the empty street. And there I was, tied to a goddamn lamppost in the middle of the night, wondering how the hell my life had turned into some bad episode of a cop drama. But here's the thing about karma. It doesn't forget. And those two were about to find out the hard way. Let me tell you something. Being cuffed to a damn street lamp in your best suit while two power-tripping cops snicker like schoolyard bullies is not the vibe. I stood there, cold metal, digging into my wrists, and the only thing running through my mind was, is this really happening? Junior strutted back over, phone in hand like he'd just solved a major crime. "Man, you've got quite the contact list here. Judges, lawyers. What, you some kind of big shot?" Grumpy hollered from the car, sipping his coffee. "Nah, just a poser. Probably a wannabe who watched too much Suits. He laughed like he'd just cracked the joke of the year. I kept my mouth shut. Rule 2. Don't feed the trolls. But Junior wasn't done. He leaned in, smirking like he had the upper hand. Here's the deal, big guy. You stay quiet. We'll let you go in. Say an hour. Consider it a lesson in staying humble. Real funny, I shot back, finally letting some sarcasm slip. Bet this is the highlight of your career. Junior grinned, clearly loving the back and forth. Better than catching jaywalkers, boss. Meanwhile, a kid, maybe 16 or 17, stopped on his bike, pulling out his phone. Yo, what's going on here? He asked, his voice laced with suspicion. Grumpy waved him off. Move along, kid. Nothing to see. But the kid didn't budge. Nah, man. This looks all kinds of messed up. He started recording, zooming in on me and the smug faces of my captors. Smile for the camera, officers. Junior turned, annoyed now. Seriously, kid? You want to spend the night next to him? The kid just shrugged, backing up slowly. Good luck explaining this one when it blows up online. With that, he pedaled off into the night, leaving behind a storm waiting to happen. I glanced at Junior. For the first time, his cocky grin faltered. He knew the kid wasn't bluffing. But instead of backing down, he doubled down, tightening the cuffs and muttering, "Let's see how tough you are when the likes start rolling in." Grumpy, still lounging by the patrol car, added, "Relax, Ted. Nobody gives a damn about some wannabe exec tied to a pole." I stayed silent, staring straight ahead. My wrists ached, but my resolve didn't waver. Let them dig their grave. I didn't need to say a word. So there I was, tied to a street lamp like a goddamn circus act, while these two clowns carried on like they'd just won the lottery. Junior was pacing around, spinning my phone in his hand like it was some kind of trophy, while Grumpy leaned against the car, sipping his coffee with the smugness of a guy who thought he had it all figured out. "Hey, Ted," Grumpy called out, gesturing toward me with his cup. "Think his tie's real silk? Maybe we should auction it off. Bet it's worth more than our paycheck." Junior snorted. "You kidding? Guys like this always fake it. Probably rented the suit, too." He walked over and tugged at my sleeve like he was inspecting a car at a dealership. "Yup, just as I thought. All show, no substance." I stared straight ahead, refusing to give them the satisfaction of a reaction. But inside? Oh, I was boiling. Not just for me, but for every person who'd ever been in this same humiliating position, dealing with the same bullshit power trip. Then things started to shift. A car pulled up. Sleek, black, and definitely not your average ride for this neighborhood. Outstepped a man in workout gear, but the way he carried himself, you could tell he wasn't here to mess around. He locked eyes with me, then shifted his gaze to the cops. "What the hell is going on here?" he demanded, voice steady but sharp enough to cut glass. Grumpy rolled his eyes. "Just handling business, pal. Move along." But the guy didn't budge. Instead, he pulled out his phone, aiming the camera squarely at Junior and Grumpy. "Business, huh? Looks more like harassment to me." "Care to explain why this man's cuffed to a street lamp?" Junior stepped forward, chest puffed out. "Sir, we don't need to explain ourselves to you." The man didn't flinch. Maybe not, but I'm sure the precinct would love to hear about this. Better yet, why don't I call someone who can fast-track that process? For the first time all night, I saw a flicker of doubt cross Grumpy's face. "Junior, though?" He doubled down, puffing out his chest like a blowfish. "Do whatever you want, man. We're just doing our job." "Right," the guy said, his voice dripping with sarcasm. "Let's see how that holds up when this video goes live." He turned to me, his expression softening. "You okay?" I nodded, my wrists aching but my resolve intact. "I've had better nights." He gave me a small, knowing smile before walking back to his car. "Hang tight," he said, the double meaning not lost on me. "This isn't over." As he drove off, I caught a glimpse of Junior's face, nervous now, his earlier bravado cracking. Grumpy shot him a look. "You see who that was?" Junior shrugged, but his voice wavered. "Just some guy. Who cares?" "Yeah," I muttered under my breath, finally letting a smirk slip. "Who cares?" But inside I knew the tide was turning, and these two were about to learn the hard way just how wrong they'd been. The calm before the storm lasted maybe 10 minutes. Grumpy leaned against the car, pretending he didn't have a care in the world, while Junior paced like a caged dog. Me? I just stood there, cuffed to the street lamp, watching their little power trip unravel. My wrists hurt like hell, but the anticipation of what was coming made it bearable. Karma's a slow burner, but when it hits, oh, it's worth the wait. Then headlights cut through the darkness. A black SUV rolled up, sleek and silent, like something straight out of a government thriller. The doors opened and out stepped two men in tailored suits that screamed, "We don't take bullshit." One of them, tall, with an air of authority, wasted no time walking straight toward Grumpy. "Officer Harper?" His tone was ice cold, the kind that makes you rethink your life choices. Grumpy straightened up, trying to play it cool. "That's me. Who's asking?" The man didn't answer. Instead, he pulled out a badge that made Grumpy's face drain of color. "Michael Anderson, Internal Affairs. Care to explain why you've got a federal judge cuffed to a street lamp?" Junior, who'd been mid-stride, froze like someone had hit pause on his bravado. "Wait, what?" Anderson ignored him, turning his attention to me. "Judge Carter? Are you all right?" I nodded, my smirk finally breaking free. "Better now," Junior stammered. "A judge? No way." He didn't say anything. "Did you ask?" Anderson shot back, cutting him off. "Or were you too busy playing cowboy?" Grumpy, still trying to salvage the situation, blurted out, "This was just a misunderstanding. We thought he was..." "A criminal?" Anderson's voice was razor sharp. "Because he was walking home in a suit? Or was it something else?" The silence was deafening. Junior looked like he wanted to crawl under the patrol car, while Grumpy's confidence crumbled right there on the sidewalk. Anderson signaled to his partner, who stepped forward and unlocked the cuffs. My wrists were sore, but damn, did it feel good to watch them squirm. "Judge Carter," Anderson said, his tone softening. "We'll handle this from here. You'll be hearing from us soon." "Oh, I'll be hearing from someone," I replied, brushing the dirt off my suit. "Believe me." As I walked away, I didn't bother looking back. I didn't need to. The sound of Anderson tearing into them was satisfaction enough. Those two had made a mistake, a big one, and now they were going to pay the price. For the first time that night, the city felt a little brighter. Justice wasn't just my job, it was my damn specialty.